Episode 104. Are these comics going to make good film and television shows? We got Green Arrow, we got Ultimate Spider-Man, and we have the final issue of Duke from G.I. Joe. Let's check them out right now. Alright, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you for spending time with me as we talk about film, television shows, and comic books, which we're going to be talking about comic books today, and see how they meld into film and television if possible for the future. See if Marvel or DC will ever be taking these things and making a film out of them. I am your host, Frank Zanca. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a working line producer. I am going to be leaving for LA to work on a film on the 1st of May, so basically next week. So my channel will be going dark as far as doing any kind of reviews. I'll try to do some videos from set, just so we have some content go up, but they're only going to be little shorts because we're working 6 days a week and all that stuff, so I won't really have a whole lot of time to do any content. And I'll be out of town, so I won't be able to get my comics at all. Nor will I have my rig or anything else. I'll just have my phone, so whatever. I left my... Gotta fix my mic here a sec. Alright, so let's jump into this. Before we do, remember to give me a like and a subscribe. I am trying to grow the channel out, so if you can give me a thumbs up or give me a subscribe to ring that bell, that would be greatly appreciated. And then if you are a fan of classic monsters, Mark Spears, who does cover art for Marvel and DC, etc., he also did a New Before Zod cover. We're doing a thing called Mythlords Classic Monsters. It's all based on his classic monster art, and we are doing a card game based on that. And if you are interested in learning more, you can go into the link in the description below and sign up to be notified when we launch. And there's a little information on there as well. It's free. You sign up, and because there's going to be additional content for the first 36 hours once we launch for the pledgers that come in there, supporters. So you're basically getting something for free that will probably be worth something because nobody will have it after the 36 hours is up. Boom, nobody else will get it. All right, so let's jump into Green Arrow. This is by Joshua Williamson. This is number 11. I believe there's only one more issue left, which is why it may feel a little rushed. But in the last issue, he was looking for Roy. Ollie was looking for Roy, who was working for Waller. And they brought in the confessional mask. Why, I don't know. And then his whole deal with that was that he was going to find Roy and that Waller was going to give him the location of Merlin so he can go after Merlin. So he's the same guy writing Duke and the stuff for the Energon universe, Cobra Commander, and I can't even tell you it's the same guy. Because the writing there is a hell of a lot better. I mean, there are writers that click with certain characters, and he's just not clicking here, man. He's floundering as far as I'm concerned. He's just throwing characters at the story just to have something going on, because I don't think he has any clue about what makes Green Arrow Green Arrow. So in the last issue, he found Roy. They were in some kind of a bunker that only he could get into, right? Because there was a code. So he met up with, a bunch of the female versions of Arrow, Arrowette, and, Red Arrow and all that stuff. And he met them all outside. He went inside, the door closed. And remember, they didn't have the code to get in. And when he was in there, I guess it was like the danger room. So the Justice League were formed. And then we find out in here that he has unresolved issues with the Justice League. So that's what conjured them. But you can't tell me that there's no safety protocols. It doesn't make any sense. So we start out with the fight with the Justice League. And the art is generally decent. I like the old school callback to Batman and Superman. And we get this 2-page spread of this battle going on. And then the girls just show up. They just show up to help. How did they get in the door? No clue. No clue. So we'll just get through that. And why does Connor look like a girl? I don't understand that. Connor is a guy. But look at the hair and the facial feature. It doesn't make any sense. So I have a lot of problems with this story and how it's developed and everything else. But anyway, he grabs the mask and then they all jump out as everything explodes. And he calls Waller and says, okay, it's time to live up to your side of the bargain. I have the mask. And now send me to Merlin. And he literally beams out. Now, since when does Waller have a beam out technology? I have no clue. But I think that was so that they could keep the story moving. Because, again, they only have one more episode or issue left. And then he goes into, instead of just continuing with Merlin, we get this big, long, drawn-out origin story of Malcolm Merlin. Why? I have no idea. So, we get to see him, in his original costume, and how Merlin trained him, and then Merlin became an assassin, and he asked him to join him, and he's like, hell no, and we're Batman and Superman there again, etc. So we've now we kind of went off the rails for no reason, and why he didn't kill him here, he injected him with a brain bomb, and he was able to just walk in there with Black Canary sleeping next to him. Makes no sense, man. So he injected him with something so that he couldn't be near his family. I don't know. They ended up on an island, etc. So he ended up, being having to do the same thing that Ollie did to get off the island, and I don't know how he burned his face off or anything like that, but he did. I don't know. I'm not sure how any of this works, but yeah, there's a picture of him with half his face burned off. And there's the mask, etc. And I guess he called in like a multiverse of all. I don't know. I'm kind of glad this is over next month because none of this makes a bit of sense. I'm ready for it to be over. Yeah, so they just beat the crap out of him. And that's where it ends until next issue. So, yeah. Make a good film or television show? No, this is... Some of the seasons of Arrow are far better than this, and they went really downhill after like season 2. So this is worse than the worst Arrow episode on CW, and that's saying something. So no, that's it's trash, unfortunately. But I am looking forward to it ending next month, and I don't know, maybe some other writer will pick it up, which is really weird because Josh Williamson is doing a better job on some of the other stuff. He just doesn't get it. He just doesn't understand. All right, so let's get into Spider-Man. This is Ultimate Spider-Man. This is issue number 4. And this, in the Ultimate Universe, which is not consistent throughout all the Ultimate titles, which is weird. But the superheroes didn't get their powers. So Spider-Man, Peter Parker, did not get his powers. He didn't get bit by the spider. So instead, what happened was that Tony Stark, from an alternate timeline or an alternate time period, sent him his suit that he can change, because it was like nano. And he sent him the spider to bite him. But he is married to Mary Jane. They have 2 children, which is what everybody kind of wanted. And they're able to do it now. But yet the Ultimate Black Panther, he just got the suit and everything else when his father died. So nothing really changed there. Except that his father lived a little longer, I guess. I don't know. So anyway, he ended up, since he's now almost starting out at an older age, being a superhero, he's now learning, so he's bungling a lot. He's the supervillains are treating him like chumps, etc. Like a chump, and then, I think that's actually pretty funny. So the last issue, he ran into Harry Osborn, and Harry took off his helmet and, somehow he integrated his suit with Stark Tech suit. It makes no sense either, and was able to to bring down Peter's mask, which means anybody can hack it, apparently, which is a big hole, I think. I think that was a bad decision. So he knows what they are, and now this entire issue can be summed up in 3 words. Double dinner date. That's it. That's in this entire... There's not one piece of action in here. It's extremely dialogue heavy. It has a different artist in here, so I guess Hickman just said, well, I have a different artist this time, so I'm just gonna dial it in. I'm not even gonna try. And that's how this feels. It feels like I'm not even gonna try. Because all this thing is all about, it's just filler dialogue for no reason. Every piece of information in this book can be told in half the time. So instead of 25 pages here or 22 pages or whatever it is, it could have been told in 11. And then you could have used the other 11 pages to go into some action. But they didn't. So, I mean, I'm going to flip through this quickly because there's nothing here. There's literally nothing here. So they're waiting in the lobby for Harry, and, you know, they're chatting, and here comes Harry. She's fixing his tie, and this is how it is. Dialogue. Oh, where's your wife? She's coming. He talks about you all the time, MJ. Oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. It's us being in love. And then he actually says, oh, here's my wife, Gwen Stacy. Now, if I had a girlfriend or whatever else when I was dating, because I haven't dated in a while, but when I was back in LA, if I said, here's my girlfriend, Gwen Stacy, that's the weirdest thing ever. Nobody says that. They don't say, here's my wife, and here's her first and last name. And if they're married, why isn't it a hyphenate? It makes him look like a chump. It makes Harry look like a chump that she didn't. Not only didn't she take his name, but she didn't even hyphen it. Like, you know, Harry, Gwen, Stacy Osborne. You know, it doesn't make any sense. Is she an actress? No. She's a business person. Makes no sense. So right there, it knocked off some stuff for me there because it made no sense. I don't know why nobody else brought that up in any other reviews, but it really bothered me. And we have eating, and we have talking, and we have eating, and we have talking, and we have eating, and we have talking. Why? Why does this even exist? And she's like, oh, I'm a PR person, being MJ. And Gwen Stacy says, oh, my business is just making way too much money, so I got to divest some of this money. Well, big problem to have there. Boy, I feel sorry for you. And then I guess these two guys, Ben and J. Jonah, are babysitting, and I guess the daughter doesn't like J. Jonah at all. And she's like, Uncle Ben, when is Jonah leaving? It's like, wow. And I guess that the boy does a lot of reading, so they were talking about that. And again, we have eating and talking, and now we're in dessert. And, you know, we have reflections. The artist had no idea what to even do. So he just kept putting reflections in glasses because he had no idea what shots to do. I don't mean like shots of alcohol. I mean like physical, like camera shots. Although he probably was doing shots at this point. I wasn't a big fan of this artwork anyway. I think the noses and stuff like that are a little bit strange on the females. And he says, do you want to go watch some TV? He goes, no, I'd rather read. And he said, good for you. I mean, now they're in the bathroom together, and this is what she said, she's making too much money. And can you get me the information for the paper? That's what Ben and J. Jonah's name is. I guess she came up with this name called The Paper, which is going to be the name of their website now. She's like, oh, you didn't tell MJ about you being Spider-Man. He's like, no, I want to protect her. My daughter knows. And they're drinking and they're talking and they're drinking and they're talking and this is not how you write a comic book, man. I'm sorry. For all you people who gave it 10s out there, I am not one of them. I gave this thing a 5. I really didn't need to see any, them talking and drinking all the way through. And, then they're on their way home and all this stuff. So we haven't had a date since BK, before kids, all this stuff. So this, like if this was a movie scene, this should not have been more than 3 pages long. You would have bored. People would have been sleeping at this point. And so everybody's like, oh, no, it's not a filler issue. No, we want to see all these character development. You can do plenty of character development in half the time this took. Plenty. This was overdone. For whatever Hickman was, he just fell asleep at his keyboard, and then he fell on the Z thing, and that's what he wrote. You know, that's pretty much how it is. So I like the actual idea of the Ultimate Universe and him having a different origin story and him having a family. I think that really would work in a film, but this particular issue, just leave it out. Just leave it out. Put it in 2 scenes and in and out. That's it. All right, so let's jump into Duke. This is the final issue. So this has been a roller coaster ride. Again, this is by Joshua Williamson, the same guy who just did Green Arrow and did a shitty job there. But on this series, he's doing really well. So he's just clicking with these G.I. Joe characters a lot more than he was with DC characters, is what I'm thinking. So I really like the setup here because they're trying to integrate it with the Transformers. So he had Starscream. So he was flying. He had like a group of jets, and Starscream just blew them up, grabbed the people, squished them as they were ejecting and all this stuff. And Duke was the one who made it out. So he's got a vendetta against these Transformers, and he doesn't know what they are. They're just giant robots to him. And so they give him an eval, and they tell him, look, you got to stop this thing. And he's like, I'm not going to stop. So the upper echelon sends him, packing pretty much. And I think it's Flint, I think. So they send him packing. So he goes out on his own kind of mission, and he hooks up with Clutch. And then G.I. Joe sends, not G.I. Joe yet, but Flint and his group sends these guys after him. And I think it was Stalker and Rock and Roll. They send those guys. So there's a big fight there. They get up being captured. See, there's a lot going on in 5 issues. Isn't that cool? They get stuck in prison or in the pit, which eventually becomes the G.I. Joe pit. And Major Blood is going in there to get Duke. But the Baroness is next to him in the next cell. So they get out while this whole big battle is taking place. And Duke ends up tracking down Destro. So anyway, we start out with, and I think it's Flint. Hopefully I'm right, because he says, where the hell is Duke? He just calls him Chief. Oh, Hawk. Sorry, it's Hawk, not Flint. So anyway, we start out with them questioning Clutch, and Clutch is like, I'm not telling you guys shit. But here's a device that we can use to track Duke. And of course, Duke again is tracking down Destro at Mars, not on the planet, but the name of the corporation, because he's an arms dealer. So he's fighting a bat, which is I want to say battery operated, but it's not. Android Trooper. I forgot what the B stands for, but that's what it is. And something Android Trooper. Battle Android Trooper. I like battery operated anyway, because that's what he ends up using anyway. So he's getting his ass kicked. Here comes Destro down the stairs as he's getting his ass kicked, and we still know. I guess we're gonna get I hope we get a good origin story about why he's got the metal helmet on, because I don't know what that reason is. So he says, "Look, I don't have anything to do with that other robot. I don't know what you're talking about." Because immediately now that he's getting attacked by a robot, he thinks that Destro was the one that sent the Transformers out, which is interesting. You can even see down the bottom here that flashback of Starscream with the thing. He's like, "You killed my friends!" Blah, blah, blah. He's like, "What, me, man?" He's like, "What, me? I don't know what that is. I don't know what you're talking about. But why don't you come work with me? We'll figure it out. I could use a guy like you." And he's like, "Fuck you. No way." And So he ends up sending the bat after him, and he's like, "Fine, have it your way, and I'll just kill you and put you out in the trash." So I guess they decide they're going to burn it all down, so they can't track anything. And he's got no bullets in the gun, which I thought was very interesting, where they put him in a situation where he just couldn't shoot the thing. Even if he shot it, I don't think it would have done anything. So it takes off its claw and puts on its flamethrower, so it's flaming at him. He gets behind it. He pulls the neck out of it, which I thought was really cool. And he ends up just beating the shit out of it until it stops, because it keeps moving even without the head. And he's using his anger for Starscream to beat the crap out of the other robot, which I also thought was very interesting. How we're getting into his mind and his motivation, which Joshua Williamson is not doing in any other books besides these. But anyway, so they blow up the whole thing, and they skedaddle out of there, and then we talk about the fact that Duke is dead. But, he's not dead. So he wakes up in the hospital, and there's Scarlet and Hawk, and they're saying, look, you're dead, but we want you to go and do something for us. We want you to start up a new team. And he's like, I'm not interested. He's like, well, we'll give you all the things you need to hunt down the robot. So now they're getting on his side, and there's the pit, and they're saying we're creating, that as a new. He's like, why are you bringing me back to the pit? You put me back in prison. He's like, no, this is going to be our base of operations. And he's like, we got your back on this one now, so you can, because now we found new intel, and he sees Optimus Prime, and he's like, fine, I'm in. So let's go get these bastards. And that's it. Because then we get the little teaser of Destro, Destro's always been my favorite character. Destro and Baroness together, that was always my favorite. And then we got a little, thing about the Destro book with the bats and stuff like that. Excellent work on that one. So I praise him on one and bash his head in on the other. All right, so let's do a recap. Will Duke make a good film and television show? Not by itself, but it is a good origin story for G.I. Joe, which you can kind of show in the beginning, especially if you're going to put G.I. Joe and Transformers together. This is an excellent basis for that, which I think they're starting to release the fact that they're going to do that. Keep my fingers crossed that we can finally get a good G.I. Joe movie, because we've never had one. Ultimate Spider-Man, I like the idea of everything up to this point, but this issue was a waste of my time. And Green Arrow, no, this is also a waste of my time. Not been good. I like Green Arrow, but this ain't him. All right, well, that's it for me. Thank you again so much for watching all the way through. And if you're reading something I'm not, let me know if you're reading anything that's good that I should be picking up. And remember to give me a like and a subscribe if you can. Remember to ring that little bell, ding ding. And if you're fans of classic monsters, whatever else, remember that Mark Spears and I are working on Mythlords, which is a classic monsters card game. Again, the description below has the link there if you want to get notified. Again, all you got to do is, click that you want to get notified, and that's pretty much the end of it. In fact, here's a Dark Oz expansion, so you can see the size in the boxes. This has 50 cards in it, but we have new monsters. I guess we're calling them monsters, but it's all the characters from Wizard of Oz and the witches and stuff like that, and new locations and things to that effect. It's lots of fun. And this one has all the extra stuff that you need, like the player mats and the dials and all that stuff. So yeah, lots of fun. All right, so anyway, check that out and link below. And if you want to check out some other videos, please do so. And I will see you guys on the next episode. Thanks again for watching, and help me grow the channel out. All right, bye-bye.